Hello, welcome to Invictus Porsche for a review of the Porsche 911 996. We're going to talk about what's so different about this generation of the 911 and why you should probably consider buying it. Well, if you didn't know, this has the sports exhaust. Well, firstly, this was the first time Porsche went from the air-cooled to the water-cooled. It was a big, massive change, and some people weren't really for it. But because of the regulation and new legislation brought into about cars being more economical, sounding rather Hoover-like, and cars having, various bits and bobs from legislation point of view implemented on, and manufacturers had to adapt and change. That's why Porsche went to the water-cooled, which is where the 996 911 in 1997 was born. So it isn't as good sounding as an air-cooled 911, but hey-ho, you can't have it all, because if they hadn't, we wouldn't have a Porsche 911 in 2021. So thanks to the change that they made in 1997 to the water-cooled, we still continue to have Porsche 911s something like 23 years later. Now, the other rather massive, I would say really major change that was made to the 996 was this was the first time Porsche built a car from the ground up that was completely different to any other generation. The only thing this 911 or the 996 model shares with any previous model of a 911 is the manual speed box, which also has been slightly tweaked, and I would say slightly the suspension. Other than that, this is a completely different car. Talking about a completely different car, that brings us to these fried egg headlights. That's what people call them. Well, with all due respect, this design of headlights were in the 90s Le Mans winning car, and they were also sort of tweaked and put onto the Porsche Carrera GT. In my view, just don't understand, how can people love it on this but hate it on the 996? I think they look absolutely gorgeous from a design aesthetic point of view, and from somebody that studied art, I think the sleekness and the way they're incorporated into the body and into how the car looks and sits is superb. I wouldn't have any other lights. Well, 911s always had round headlights. Something about these bug eyes that people love. Why couldn't people just love this? Well, because in the 911 world, people don't normally like to have a change from what is conventional to something slightly evolved, which is why in the 997 edition in 2004, they went back to the bug-eyed headlight. Now let's talk about the spec of the 996, and in general, we'll sort of cover it on this vehicle. It's got the Arctic Silver metallic color with the turbo look alloys, and on the side you still have the profile of what a Porsche 911 should look like. And now if you come to the back, we still find the engine behind the rear axle, and the twin sports exhaust at the back, which looks absolutely phenomenal, and you get this gorgeous again sleekiness of how beautiful a 911 is. And if we just ask the cameraman to slowly creep into the interior of it, thanks to the engine behind the rear wheel axle, we benefit by having a 2+2 setup, as well as having a big massive boot at the front. But on the interior, this is in this beautiful blue-like leather interiors extended. You've got this gorgeous sport steering wheel with a Porsche Cresta in the middle, has got the 6-speed manual box, and it's all very analog. both from what the internal workings of the car is, the braking system, with how it sounds, how it drives. I mean, can't expect anything sophisticated from an 996. I mean, for God's sake, this car is probably as old as me. That's a joke. Yeah, back to the car. So it's got buttons, you know, to operate all this, you know, temperature control and air control on the inside. It's got AC. It's got this really old analog radio system with CD changes, which was an optional back in the day. Okay, what else? You've got these 4 buttons here to increase, to put up or down the windows. Got a lovely little handrest here, and you've got the handbrake that's got Porsche written on it as well. The sports seats, and also the leather are actually in a very similar color to the carpets. And now if we go to the back, one thing I love about the convertibles is that I don't have to worry about headspace, because on a 911 coupe this headspace is really limited because the sleekness of the roof. So you've normally got to go like this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, back to videoing. Yeah. So on the coupe, because of the sleekness of the roof, you've got to tilt your head to the left a little bit, or to the right. Well, to the right, you've got your windows. Well, back to the videoing again. So therefore, I think the convertible have a big plus over the coupes. Now talking about convertibles over coupes, the biggest advantage, in my opinion, that you find in the convertible over the coupes is that they look gorgeous when the roof is down. Not so much when the roof is up. We are in December, technically 2nd December, and it's freezing, but I still drove it with the roof down. Because it's a convertible. I mean, who buys a convertible and drive it around with the roof up? I mean, you've got to enjoy life and live a little bit. That's why you buy a convertible. That's why you buy a Porsche, because you want to live a little bit. Now on to a test drive. How does it drive? We'll find out in a minute. With the roof down. Wow, that sound is beautiful. Well, if you didn't know, this has the sports exhaust. Well, to really do this video effectively, I should have the roof up. But hey, it's a convertible, the sun's out, yes it's December, we're going to do it with the roof down, and we're going to do a bloody good job of it. Okay, firstly, it sounds amazing because it's got sports exhaust, because the previous exhaust system, the back boxes had corroded and they were needing to be replaced. Now from a brake horsepower perspective, this produces 300 brake horsepower. To be absolutely factual, 296 brake horsepower. In terms of a torque, 350 Newton meters of torque. And the 0 to 60 is possible in 5.4 seconds. That is bloody quick. And now, in terms of economy, you're looking at about 25 miles per gallon, which is on a sports car pretty good, I would say. Additionally, in terms of the total curb weight on this 911 Carrera 2, that is 1,395 kilograms. I mean, don't for a single second think you're Lewis Hamilton, because the back will spin on you if the tires are not warmed and if the car is not properly driven. So be careful. Now, in terms of what the car drives like, it's had a new clutch at some point in the past couple of years. It's extremely responsive, the gearbox. It's had all new tyres all around. The steering is still the hydraulic steering, and it's pretty engaging. You've got to really get involved and drive the thing, and it's not going to drive you. Now, what was the 996 known for? I mean, what sort of made the 996 famous from a film's perspective? Because, you know, the 911s have always featured in, you know, films like the 911 in Bad Boys, and they even had the Neo 911 in the new film. Well, the 996 featured in the Disney Pixar film called Cars, and it was a facelift 996 called Sally Carrera. But other than that, the 996 really brought Porsche out of bankruptcy. Porsche at the time sort of partnered up with Toyota to streamline their production process, because up until the 996, every nook and cranny of the 911 was hand built. I mean, it was a lot of hard work, made with love in Germany, with people and their hands. And the 996 came, and the Japanese, with their modernization techniques of streamlining the production process. Now, in terms of the number of owners, this has a total of, I think, approximately 9 owners. The Porsches do tend to go through a high number of owners. Porsches do tend to go through a high number of owners, especially in its early years. And additionally, it's got a full service history. Had close to 3 grand spent with a Porsche specialist called AMS that we work with on a new exhaust system and loads of other bits and bobs to get it up to standard. So the new owner, whoever that is, can really enjoy this car, have fun with it, and I'm sure it will put a right smile on their face, as is done on our faces, because it's an absolutely amazing car. The only thing that's left on this 911 that we need to review is the roof. So let's put that roof on. Now, I hope you've enjoyed the review, Mr. Drown. See you on the next one. And look at this gorgeous roof. Thank you, camera, for doing your job. Fantastic.